mentally healthy people do more things for others than they do often for themselves. Because if you imagine Jeffrey and Adonis, and let's say Jeffrey and Adonis have this same money. Let's say Adonis recently gave away all of his wealth as like a nice, gesture experiment. And so Adonis only has like $50 in his pocket. Jeffrey only has $50 in his pocket. They both enter a restaurant. Jeffrey eats, pays his bill of $26, waits around for his change, takes it, all of the pennies, and leaves. And his mindset is like, oh, well, no, I can't tip. I don't have enough money. Adonis eats, pays his bill, which is the same price, $26. And honestly, in this situation, even though it might not be realistic in the real world, you can imagine Adonis tipping the rest of how much money he's got, the other $24. Maybe in a more realistic situation, okay, we'll give 5, we'll give 10. But you could actually imagine Adonis in this situation would be in such a happy mood to say to the waitress, and this is for you. What's interesting is when Jeffrey and Adonis leave this restaurant, Adonis is the one whose mental health has improved because of that act of kindness. And you know what's super interesting about that? When they get home and they work on their businesses, because Adonis has better mental health of that act of kindness, he's just got a sale in his business, $3,000. Jeffrey's mental health isn't as good, and he doesn't get a sale today or tomorrow. So in a weird way, hoarding the money makes you less money. This is a belief that'll be hard to explain to you, but many, many rich guys have found this. Like when a man begins to make a ridiculous amount of money, I'm talking $50,000 a month. So you make in a month more than most people make in a year. When you get to that level, you start to realize that money is so much more abundant than you ever realized, and you almost laugh at people who kind of hoard it in and who need to save it and everything, because you realize like money just comes and goes. There's so much money in the world. How do you not have like 1 million of it for yourself? You have like that kind of attitude, and you realize that if you have this psychological like scarcity mindset with money, it will actually evade you. You'll make less money. So there's truth of this in both ways. If you're looking at it in only the mental health way, or you're looking at it in more of like the rich man's psychology way, both of them prove that if you are more kind with your money and you're more generous, you will get more of it back. There's another study for this that I've read. Participants are given $5 or $20, and they're told to either spend it on themselves or spend it on someone else. Before they go and do that, these participants are asked how they think it'll impact their mental health. Imagine you entered the room and the psychologist came up to you and said, here's $5, but you can't spend it on yourself. You've got to go spend it on someone else. How do you think it's going to make you feel spending it on someone else compared to spending it on yourself? And most people, maybe if you're not going to lie, would actually say, I kind of would have preferred just, keeping it for myself. I think I would have been happier if I spent it on myself. I think I'm going to be sadder if I spend it on someone else. The truth, which you can imagine, was the exact opposite. When people spent money on someone else, like just $5, they got like a significant, it was like a 2 out of 10 happiness boost, that's huge. To spend only a few dollars, around like less than an hour's minimum wage in your country, to make this equal for everyone in different countries. If you spend less than an hour's minimum wage, probably about 30 minutes minimum wage on someone else, you get about a 20% happiness boost, which in a weird way can equate to thousands, if not even tens of thousands of dollars when you then put that better mental health into your grades, into your business. This is a weird hack that I've started doing that I want you to really consider, where you give out multiple small amounts of like gifts, like, money, tips to waitresses, something you got for your friend, knowing that one, it's nice for them, but that two, the happiness boost that you get will fuel you for better work, which is actually like a better ROI. This is like a weird game of leverage where you're spending $5 and in a weird way you're getting 20 back. And that's if you're like broke, right? If you spend $5 and you've got that happiness boost and you then get slightly better grades, or you go and make a tiny bit of money in your online business, this is paid for itself. But when you get richer and you still give a waitress like $5, $10, but then you have that happiness boost in your work, that leverage is so much higher. So starting from now, we want you to do these acts of kindness very frequently, because what was so interesting was that some participants weren't given $5, they were given $20, and they actually got roughly the same happiness boost as the ones giving $5 away. So what this showed was the amount that you give doesn't really matter. So my takeaway from this is we want not just more money that we're giving away, but to more people. So keep it at about what is 30 minutes of your country's minimum wage. So in the UK, it's roughly like minimum wage is roughly like £8. So about £4, £5, and give that to a higher quantity of people. So every time you get like a coffee somewhere, tip the waitress. You're not just doing it for her, even though it'll help her. You're doing it also for yourself because it will make you more mentally healthy. And also, you can imagine this ties into the social connection, doesn't it? Because imagine you started doing this, you would feel more socially connected to the people around you in your town or everywhere else. And when you do this often, it really feels like you're leaving like these friendly trails of gratitude everywhere you go. You feel like this like really wholesome, loving, amazing person. You might have a limiting belief and say, oh no, but I'm too broke for that. But that's exactly what Jeffrey thought. In that situation that I told you about, Jeffrey and Adonis in the restaurant, they both had $50. Jeffrey had this mindset that he was too broke for that. Maybe you've got $15, maybe you've got $10 right now. That would make it more special. That's like a story you'll be telling for fucking 10 years. If you had $10 right now and you went and bought like a $2 water bottle or, you know, $4 coffee or something, and you ended up tipping the rest of everything that you had for this random like waitress who really helped you, that's a story that you'd probably still be telling 10 years from now when you're fucking rich and you're telling everyone that I gave my last dollar away. And still 10 years from now, it brings a smile to your face. That's $6 or $5 that you've tipped. That's the highest return on investment that you'll probably ever get in your life. So don't bring the limiting belief that so many young guys will say is, oh, but I'm not rich enough for this. I don't have enough money. You know, in the future, I'll do it. Bro, don't fucking bring that here. Oh, tomorrow I'll do it. Oh, later on I'll do it. In the future, when I make more money from my business, then I'll do it. Because you know that mindset of like, yeah, future me will deal with it has never served you so far. And when you were going for the third fucking fap of the day and you'd say, oh yeah, I'll just start no fat properly from tomorrow. When you're eating that stuff in your face like a fat pig and say, oh, well, I'll just eat the real diet tomorrow. I'll just clean up my diet tomorrow. You never did it and it ruined your life. You start the good thing today. You don't delay it. You know this now. So if you know that this is a good idea, don't allow that same weak part of your brain that's hindered your progress to just keep you stuck again. When you see that this is good for you and you can believe it, don't allow the Jeffrey part of your brain to make this like something you just procrastinate on and then by tomorrow or 2 days later you've just kind of forgotten about it. This could change. Like if you just did this 1, 2, 3 days a week for the rest of your life, this would change the trajectory of your future so much. If you just tipped a few dollars in a few random places that you went to, if you just ordered like a nice book, self-improvement book for like this one guy that you know who's on self-improvement and you gifted it to him, this would change your future. If you allow it without bullshitting, without coping, without making excuses and saying, oh, but I don't have the money for that. So many guys I can imagine in third world countries will say this. They'll say, oh, but I'm in India, I don't have the money. No, but remember, this isn't about spending $5. This is about half an hour of your country's minimum wage. It's always the equivalent. So if you're from India, for example, when you go past one of the little shops, you buy a bottle of water for your friend. You buy a nice drink for him. You buy his lunch at school today. Just think about Jeffrey and Adonis in that restaurant. They had the same amount of money, but Jeffrey thought to himself that, oh, well, I don't have enough. I've got to keep it. Interestingly, Adonis gave more and he ended up getting more later on. And I've not even told you about the best benefit you're going to get from this. Improving your mental health when you do this act of kindness is nice. You know why so many young guys are going to love this? Another study found that when you do these random acts of kindness and you give away, you know, the $5 and you tip or you buy the water bottle for a friend, what actually happens is you lower your cortisol. Cortisol is kind of like the counter of testosterone. So cortisol is kind of like stress, and testosterone is like the male sexual hormone that we want to increase because it makes us more manly. It'll deepen our voice. We'll get, you know, bigger muscles. We'll grow muscles faster. We'll be more competitive. Our dick gets harder. We want more testosterone, right? And you've probably heard before, cortisol lowers testosterone. And so when we lower cortisol, we expect a boost in testosterone. This study found that when you do these acts of kindness, you lower cortisol. I'll be honest with you, this study didn't then test their testosterone, but in general, it is a widely accepted belief that if you lower cortisol, your testosterone will rise because of that. So in other words, the way that I'm concluding this, and I'm telling this to my men, do these acts of kindness and you'll increase your testosterone, which you can really imagine. If you imagine yourself in the restaurant or cafeteria or the shop today, and you are that guy who tips the waitress like $5 as you hold her eye contact and she's like proper thanking you, or you get the water bottle for your friend and you say, oh, bro, I got this for you. And he's like, oh, thank you so much. Everyone is welcoming you. You feel more like part of the tribe. You feel accepted. You feel like you're higher status in the tribe. Of course, that's going to then give you the result of increased testosterone too. This is probably one of the cheapest ways to increase your testosterone. You don't need the supplements. You don't need the steroids or TRT. Just buy a water bottle for someone. You might be thinking about the financial cost of this. So a few years ago, it was so popular for all like the finance YouTubers and all those gurus and the authors to write about like the compound effect, that if you bought a coffee every day, that you'd lose like millions of dollars over your entire lifestyle. Since then, so many guys have proven that that was complete bullshit, that all these little finance dickheads are telling you like, oh, if you spend $2 a day, you'll become broke. No, you only get rich through business and through making a fuck ton of money, like tens of thousands of dollars a month in your early years. That's the way to get rich. Saving money on a coffee, if you compound it for 70 years, just shut up, right? We don't believe that. But even then, if think about this bullshit compound interest coffee every day, you know what I'm saying? Okay, this tipping a waitress every day, that's going to add up to a fair amount of money over your life, right? But imagine the compounded effect of doing something like this act of kindness a few times a week on your mental health and therefore on your brain's performance in your work and your studies. This is actually going to give you so much more money than trying to save every like dollar that you have and thinking to yourself, yes, you know, I'm $1 closer to my goal. If you reinvest that dollar into an act of kindness, you'll then increase how much more money you're going to make tomorrow, and you'll make more money, not just the dollar back, but you'll make more. So don't have the fear that doing this is going to mean that you can't hit your like financial goals. I actually think doing this is a prerequisite to your financial goals. There's many guys who are watching this section who won't believe it, who are totally and utterly broke, don't even have $1,000 in their bank account, are quite frankly stupid and unintelligent and uneducated when it comes to making money, but they'll disagree with this advice and listen to their own like thinking, which think about how absurd that is. There's people out there whose brain has kept them broke, and they'll keep listening to their brain instead of a guy who's giving you the advice that I used to go from being broke to making a fuck ton of money. There's actually like an absurdity there that when it comes to money, people's brain just turns off and they're like, nope, gotta follow the conditions and brainwashing that was put onto me as a kid. Yeah, and how's that working out for you? So if you feel the scarcity mentality right now and you're thinking like, oh, but I don't want to spend, like, you know, I'm trying to save up money and stuff, just understand, like, if you're still broke, this thinking hasn't actually helped you. Some people can't be helped. When it comes to money, honestly, it's such a sensitive subject. Some people can't be helped, but hopefully you're watching this thinking, okay, I'm just going to try this advice and I'll see. And if I get some kind of like productivity or testosterone boost, then yeah, it's probably worth it.